January meeting of the Warren Town Council. First on the agenda is the pledge of allegiance. Public hearing regarding the 2024-2025 budget. And the first item is discussion and action regarding the stop time for budget meetings and public hearings. Council President. It's 6 o'clock. Yeah. Stay with that. Yeah. We have a motion for that.
Make a motion that we have to stop playing at 6 p.m.
We have a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next part of this hearing is, discuss and solicit comments from residents related to goals and objectives for the fiscal year. With that, if anybody does want to speak, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your address, and you will have the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening. Michael Abruzzi, Coomer Avenue, Warren, taxpayer. Good evening. So about a month or so ago, I was asked to come in and volunteer my time to help with the new finance directors that had come in. And after working with them, here are some things that I found out. But before we start, and in the spirit of the budget discussion that we're having tonight, when I was finance director, when I worked with the town council, there were a couple of facts that I'd like to lay out for them. The first one is for every 100,000, if your ratable base stays the same in the budget, which is about $1.8 billion, for every $100,000 in expenditures that you either increase or decrease the budget by, you will increase or decrease the tax rate by 5 cents. So when you're reviewing the budget, that's a very useful tool to have. Corresponding to that is every $250,000 that you increase or decrease the budget, your tax rate percentage will increase or decrease by 1%. So if you had to increase the budget by $1 million, that means your tax rate would go up 4% or 50 cents on the dollar. Okay? So just so you understand that entering into your budget cycle, when you're looking at your budget, those numbers are important. So now let's talk about some budget facts of what has occurred over the last 3 years. Over the last 3 years, the budget has increased by $1.6 million. This is from the 21-22 budget to the 23-24 budget. There's been a $1.6 million increase in town expenditures. This excludes debt service and excludes education. So this is just town expenditures. So in order for you to analyze where you increased spending, where the town increased spending for the last 2 years, I think it's important that you look at a large database of information. I have provided the town manager, Chief Borges, with an Excel spreadsheet that has 4 years of budget data in it and 2 years of actual data in it for every line item in your budget. So you will be able to go into that document and look back for 3 years and look at 2 years of actual, 3 years of budget and 2 years of actual data. And you'll be able to look exactly at where spending increased, if you have to cut spending, when you have to cut spending this year, because you will have to cut spending. So just as an example, rescue stipends increased 60% over the last 2 years. The recreation budget increased 38% over the last 2 years. Social Security, Medicare taxes increased 28% over the last 2 years. So you need to investigate why those things happened. And again, unless you look at that detail, you won't be able to make informed decisions when you have to come up with this new budget for 24-25. You would also like to be able to use 23-24 actual data for the last 6 months. But unfortunately, your financial records on up to date. I know Dave is, your new finance director, has been working really hard to get everything up to date, but without revenue being posted, third-party billing revenue, miscellaneous revenues being posted, without expenses, salaries haven't been posted, your MERS, your pension information hasn't been paid or posted, your health and your education, none of that information is available in your current financial system. So until that information is available, you can't use that system to make real-time decisions for your next year's budget. So you're going to have to look back at the previous 2 years of actuals, because you don't have accurate current financial information. So that's spending. Let's talk about the budget deficits for the last 3 years. So for the last 3 years, you've had year-over-year structural budget deficits, meaning that you've been using fund balance, which is the reserve, the rainy day fund that we call it, of the town of Warren, of $180,000 per year. You've used the COVID or opera money of $225,000 in each of the last 2 budget cycles. And in 2022-23, you utilized $250,000 of other post-employee benefit funds to plug a budget deficit. So each of the last 3 years, you increased expenses, but you relied on your savings to offset the cost of those expenses, as opposed to raising revenues. So the result of this right now for 24-25 is that you have a $405,000 structural deficit going into 24-25. So before you even put a pen to a paper to start your budget, you're looking at a 20-cent or 1.4% tax increase because of those structural budget deficits. And then finally, the last thing I'd like to touch upon are the capital projects. The last 3 years, you've allocated $3.7 million of your fund balance, your general fund balance, for capital projects. Not all of that has been spent. And I think we're going to talk, I'll talk in a little bit about why you should stop or put a halt to your capital spending until you can figure out where you are in your cash situation, so you'll know what to do for next year's budget. I'd like to point out that, let's talk about the 24-25 budget now. So if you do nothing, if you level fund this year's town expenses, they're currently at $17.3 million. If you level fund those expenses, and if you add the $1 million for the settlement that will need to be paid on July 30th, I think in 2025, and you add 3% for the schools, you're looking at a 7% tax increase. And I know you have contractual obligations for salaries. If you don't cut to offset those salaries, you're going to be looking at an 8 to 10% tax increase for 24-25. So what's the solution? The first solution that needs to happen, and I know that Chief Borges and Dave, the new finance director, have been working on this, is to get your bank reconciliations completed. That way you can have a better picture of where you are as far as a cash status. So you'll know what money you have in reserves if you have to offset any large expenditures for this coming year. First thing I believe you need to do for the remainder of the year is to halt, as I said earlier, halt unexpected capital projects. As the time when I did this analysis, it looked like there was of the 3.7 million that you had allocated, there was 1.3 that hadn't been spent. But I know that there's new police cars, there's a new rescue coming in, and I don't know if those bills have been paid. So that may free up some of your fund balance, because this is all coming out of the same money, the same bucket of money that we have now. Also, I know that there's been discussion, and there's discussion tonight on the agenda about the COVID, the ARPA monies, but you're going to deallocate, I believe it's on the agenda for this evening, to deallocate those monies. You have about $2,062,000 in the bank right now of COVID money. But I tried to do a reconciliation of, I went back through all the minutes of the town council to see what you had allocated. And I couldn't reconcile it to what's been taken out of the COVID money. So I believe that reconciliation really needs to be done, so you know exactly what the balance of your COVID money is and whether that money is available for you to utilize for the budget process or to meet your expenses for this year. because in October of 2021, when the original ARPA money allocations were made, in the minutes of those meetings, it actually says that those ARPA monies cannot be used to offset a structural budgeted deficit. It's in the minute of the meetings of the October 12th, 2021 minutes. Now, I don't know the rules of ARPA, but I believe your consultant, HCH, I believe, should be able to answer that question relatively easily for you. So you'll know the flexibility that you'll have with those $2 million. If you do those two things, stop spending capital and stop spending the ARPA money, that may allow you to have cash flow over the next few months, which may be difficult for right now until you get your bank reconciliations done. And so you don't want to do tax anticipation notes because it's a very expensive way of doing business. So, and the reason I'm talking about these items that may not seem to be budget related, they are, because if you have, it has to do if you have to budget for the $1 million settlement payment that's due on July 30th of 2025. Because if you restore levels to the 21-22 for the town, restore the town's expenses to the 21-22 levels with a 3% increase for the schools, because that seems to be the average what they get, you'll have a 2.5% tax increase this year. But you have to do all of these other items, and you have to cut your budget by $1.2 million. And that $1.2 million is the amount of money that you utilized from your reserve funds and did not raise revenues for. So you now that practice of using revenues to supplant your structural deficit has to be addressed. And in order to do that, you need to cut $1.2 million out of your budget for this year. And that'll bring you to maybe a 2.4% tax increase.
So when you speak about revenues, you're talking about a tax increase. Because
Mhm.
it's a slight criticism that I noticed that we hadn't done. So when you were talking about the amount of money that we were spending out of the general fund for
Mhm.
capital, we weren't borrowing.
No, that's one item. Exactly. And that's fine. And as I've said, I've said this in the past, and I'll say, you know, if you have specific capital items and you're funding them from their one-time items and they're coming out of your reserve, that's fine. It's when you utilize savings, which is your fund balance, to budget your operating budget. So because those revenues are not reoccurring unless you continue to pull from your savings. But at this point, you can't continue to pull from your savings anymore because your savings have been depleted.
Right.
I mean, it's
Currently
really,
now.
it's really pretty simple. I mean, as of June 30th of 2022, your unassigned fund balance based on your financial statements was $7.9 million. The settlement, lawsuit settlement that was announced a couple of weeks ago was $8 million. So that pretty much tells you that you don't have any fund balance left other than the COVID money. And there's been capital money being spent out of that. So now you have to figure out how you're going to balance your budget without using savings to offset your expenses. So either you need to find other sources of revenue, meaning miscellaneous revenues, or you need to cut expenses,
On both.
or both.
There's only so much we can cut expenses. There, I mean, there's a limit to what we can cut expenses on, right? I mean, in other words, some of these items are, you know, not in our hands. They're contractual agreements. And,
Mhm.
but I mean, capital expenses is an example that you brought up that certainly can be
Mhm.
looked at, no question.
But in order for you to do that, I think it's really important that you look back at your 2021, 2022 levels of spending and see where you got to from there to today and what you can take out. That's what you have to do. That's the hard work that's going to have to happen in this fiscal year, or else you're going to be asking the taxpayers to increase taxes between 8 and 10%. That's the reality. Sorry, I don't have better news, Joey. I know you like me when I have better news, but not tonight.
I do want to say that we have frozen all
Mhm.
non committed funds,
Mhm.
except emergencies, things like that. So that's capital and everything has been frozen.
At least until you can identify what your cash flow looks like when you get your cash reconciliations completed.
And we already,
Because it's really important, because all I'm able to do, or we're able to do, is a very short term until we know more about what's
We're in
what's
lockstep
occurring.
with your advice.
I'm just giving you my
and we
opinion.
previous meeting, we did freeze any more disbursement of opera funds, and we're
Mhm.
gonna reconfirm that again
Right.
tonight, just to make
Mhm.
sure.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's,
And we certainly have some work to do to get the bottom line numbers, because we're still reconciling and we're still working through that process apparently, right? I'm not saying we shouldn't, we need to
Hmm.
look at this, and as
Right,
the
the
president says.
Right. The difficulty is right now you're starting a budget process and there's a lot of unknowns.
Exactly.
So you need to clear up those unknowns so you can make decisions that are clearer for you in your upcoming budget.
No question.
So, but the data is it's all there. It's all consolidated for you. So again, I plan on sending that to Chief Borges and to Dave. So,
Thank you.
This is eye-opening. I mean, I appreciate the
Yeah.
effort that you put into this.
any other questions?
Steve?
No, no.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And thank you for all your help over the
Before
past
Mike
couple of
goes-
weeks.
Yeah, before Mike goes, it should be noted that he's volunteered a lot of his time.
Yeah,
Especially his expertise, and he continues to do that to help the town in this fiscal situation.
Yeah, I was just saying thank you for
You're welcome.
the past couple weeks or whatever.
And again, I'm available for Dave whenever he has questions. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Okay, that being said, can I have a vote to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Yeah,
Second.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is actually the public comment period, and this is for anybody that wants to say anything that's not on the agenda. If you just want to bring something to the council's attention, we can't really take any action on it because it's not posted. But if you want to speak, please come forward and state your name.
So,
Jenny Flanagan, 46 Washington Street. I'm on the Warren Land Conservation Trust. Next Tuesday, the Warren Land Conservation Trust is having their annual meeting, and we're having a speaker on darkness during daytime, the upcoming eclipse that will be going across northern New England in April, and the advantages of dark skies design and movement. I encourage anyone who is in the audience and on the council to attend. The meeting is free and it'll be at the Armory at 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. That being said, we're gonna move on to reappointments. We have, the first one is the Housing Court Judge. It's for 1 year and it's John J. Rago.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, next we have Planning Board, and it's Ashley Maderis. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second? I will second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, we're coming down, and this is for interviews. We have several openings. We have one for the planning board, and the applicant is Terry De La Paz. Is Terry here? Please come forward.
Good evening.
Good
Hello.
evening.
Just give us a little rundown on your background and why you're interested in the board.
My background, I'm a retired environmental engineer, worked for the U.S. Army Civil Service and Redstone Arsenal for 30 years, managing the Superfund cleanup there, which had to be done very closely with our equivalent to a planning board, which is a master planning office. So I do have some background. A garrison is much like a city government. I've got quite a bit of experience with that. And I've been an alternate on the planning board since about 6 months now.
Any questions from the council?
Yes, for one thing, so thank you. Ms. De La Paz has been an alternate. I've been to a number of meetings that you've participated in, and I appreciate your preparedness and your questions. This is somewhat for you, so you have, you've enjoyed the work and you'd like to be made a full member.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that we are clear, the planning board has 7 full members and 2 alternates. So this is for this is for a full member. And should we appoint Ms. De La Paz, we will then have how many full members and how many alternates? It's a little unclear. I know we have coming up in correspondence, we've received another resignation of a full member. So last month we had a resignation of an alternate, and tonight we will recognize the resignation of the full member. So there will still be, I'm not sure how this math works because I don't have
I
a,
believe the solicitor has the count.
If Ms. De La Paz is brought up to a full member,
Mhm.
you would have still 1 full member on the planning board to be appointed and 2 alternates on a 7-member board.
Okay. All right, that's housekeeping that maybe isn't for you to participate in, but I just wanted to it be made clear that as an alternate, you have applied for the full position, which shows your interest in that, serving on that board. And you would obviously like to continue in that capacity. So
Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions?
I'd just say that I've attended multiple planning board meetings and watched you and participate, and I appreciate you jumping right in, Simeon. So I approve, and I make a motion to appoint.
We have a motion. She's gonna be taking a full-time.
Yeah, but
Not
she's
an
gonna
open.
fill in somebody's vacant slot.
Yeah, we've got 2 vacancies as it is
Yes.
now, yeah. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Good luck.
These are, I'm gonna read the other openings we have, and hopefully there's some people out there in the public or in TV land that would like to join up and serve on one of these boards or commissions. We have 1 position available on the Conservation Commission. We have 1 position available on the Economic Development Board. We have 2 positions on the Juvenile Hearing Board. We still have 1 full and 1 alternate, I believe, on the Planning Board. We have 7 positions available for the Rhode Island 250th Commission. And we have 1 position available on the Voluntary Historic District Committee. Also, there's something on here that's not on the agenda, so we can't really pick anybody. But we do have an opening for the Joint Finance Committee. So if anybody out there would be interested, we probably should make an appointment by next month because the meetings are gonna start happening pretty soon. So if anybody's interested, please forward an application to the town clerk. Okay, that being said, we get to the minutes. First, I'm looking for the December 12th, 2023 regularly scheduled meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? The executive session minutes on that same night, I want to continue that to next month. The solicitor is still reviewing them. We have a motion to continue those.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And now we have December 15th specially scheduled
Motion to approve.
meeting. And we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, moving along. Next, we have the consent agenda, P1, P.
Mr. President,
Yes.
may I just ask a question on those meeting minutes from the, there's no date on here, I can see, from the 15th of December.
Yep.
meeting. So it was, the ARPA funds were reallocated. to transfer the American Rescue Funds. Do we have a total amount there? I know that this is kind of an ongoing
No,
discussion.
I believe that was for all of the available funds to transfer it to, until we find out where we are, in a cash flow situation. That was all of them.
Okay. So those will be reconciled.
Correct.
Okay.
We have P 1, 2, and 3. Does anybody want to pull on a consent item, or do we want to vote on the agenda, consent agenda?
This is what we should.
Okay, nobody wants to pull one. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, next we have ordinance 01, garbage, trash, and refuse. This is the second reading. Anthony?
It's one change on the trash, the leaf, lawn, and garden matter pickup. That moves to December, from December 1st to December 31st. That's the only change.
Any questions from the council? We have a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we are back into public hearing mode. We have a public hearing for the transfer of a Class A beverage license. This was continued from December 12th, from Malik's Liquors, Inc. to Baba Sami, Inc.
Excuse me. All sorts of mouthpieces coming
Oh,
forward.
geez, yeah.
Even Mr. President, members of the council. As you're aware, transfer of the liquor license from Malik's Liquor to Baba Samay. Can't quite pronounce it, I'm sorry. So Malik's has been a good neighbor and in the town of Warren for quite some time. Has had a great relationship, and I have no reason to believe that the new transferee, new owner of the assets would be the same. Malik's is assisting in the transition. He is, as I understand it, a business owner in multiple food and beverage businesses. Of course, we are looking at a closing date of February 1st. And of course, all vendors, liens, and municipal otherwise would be paid prior to that. And the transfer would be conditioned upon that. And I also want the transfer to be conditioned upon the closing of the assets. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions from the council?
I have more of a statement, and it's more for this new business owner, recognizing the fact, are the little mini nips sold in the business?
No. No.
Are you referring to the current operation or?
This is a liquor store.
Correct,
And,
yes.
right,
So I think you want to address that to me, right?
Yes.
well, do you sell them?
Yeah, I sell them now.
And will you continue to sell them?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a problem in the community. They're everywhere. They're littered everywhere. We've talked about it publicly. We've lamented it privately as we walk around and see the litter. Granted, you have no control over what your customers do with the product after they buy it, but I hope you will set an example and be a good small business owner and leader and express how unfortunate it is when people make those purchases and then toss them casually into our streets and waterways and whatnot. It's a point of real embarrassment in town, how filthy. And I know that they are a source of revenue for you, but perhaps you can lead and sell in such a way that you maybe incentivize people to not throw them
Away.
everywhere
Yeah,
in
okay.
the street.
Question, this is concerning just the liquor store, not the rest of the property?
No, just.
Just
No,
the,
there will be a sale of the real estate as well.
and those businesses will be staying, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Yeah, there should be no change in transition in terms of the businesses staying or the current operation of, the store itself.
Thank you.
Just have the attorney and, just state your name so we can have it in the
Oh,
minute.
I apologize. I
Yeah,
didn't do
no,
that.
you just,
Gregory Shadone, attorney for Malik's Liquor, and I'm accompanied by Jan Malik, who's the principal of Malik's Liquor, and they can state their names correct.
Brenda Panaccio, I represent the transferee. spouse.
Anything from the solicitor?
It's a public hearing, so you should open it up to see if there's anybody here to comment. And then when you're ready to make the motion, I would suggest two conditions on the motion, if it's to approve. The first would be to authorize the transfer, subject to a successful closing on the property, and also a satisfaction of any and all liens. I don't think that any were received anyway, but that's the main condition that should be placed on it, along with any other state or local requirements for the transfer of a liquor license, including the payment of all taxes, which I was told will be handled in the closing itself.
Okay, that being said, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this transfer?
Motion to close the public hearing.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
second.
All in favor? Aye.
Motion to approve.
And I will second that motion, just if you would though, Mr. Malik, Jan,
Yes.
just give the public and everyone else just a little bit of history about how long that this business has been and how it moved, I believe, from one location to another, Just
I'll
give me,
finish my.
give me
motion
60
after
seconds.
you.
Yeah, give me 60 seconds.
Well, the only thing I want to say is, hey, it's been 40 years. We've been
40 years.
40 years.
Yeah,
My wife and myself, we worked hard. We try to do the right things, you know, for the town of Warren.
Yeah.
Even with nips, we try to do the right thing.
This was nothing against you.
No, I know that. You know, I could go back to a story when my wife and daughter went to South Carolina driving. I woke up 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I walked down Child Street with a plastic bag. I picked up nips right before Earth Day. I said, I got to get them off the road before people hammer me for this thing. So, you know, I did. I got around 100, to be honest with you, on one side and 50 on the other side going back home. So listen, all us business owners in the whole town of Warren try to take care of our businesses and try to do the right things. And sometimes, you know, there's a hiccup along the way. So like I said, for 40 years, my wife and I think we did the right thing and leave it at that. So thanks.
well, thank you for the 40 years of service.
Sure, you want to finish your motion?
Yeah, motion, that's okay. Motion to transfer the Class A liquor license.
Second,
With the
Isn't that
condition,
with public conditions. for the-
Condition on the successful closing.
Everybody wants to put words in my mouth. So moved.
Second. Yeah.
all in favor?
Good luck.
Aye. Good luck.
Look forward to 40 years.
Okay. Next, we have the petitions. We have P4. This is request for a holiday sales license from Core Fitness Warren is the applicant here. How you doing? Not
Good,
bad at
good to
all.
see you.
You as well, thank you. My name is Steve Venezzi. I'm the Executive Vice President of Development for Core Development and Management.
And you're looking, this is basically just to be open. How it says holiday sales.
Yes, so
Okay.
this is in order to operate the hours that we operate, which are Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday, 5 to 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 5 to 5 p.m., and then some of the holidays. So we're only closed Christmas Day. We do reduced hours on Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Memorial Day, etc. But we are open nearly all the time.
This is just a yearly request.
Yeah, well, yeah, we have a motion. Do we have
You're
a
not asking
second?
for anything different than last year.
No,
Well, we weren't open last
they
year.
weren't open last year. This is a new business.
But,
Yeah,
but structure
Yes.
is, thank you.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I just do have one question since.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming in. So obviously there was a transition from Max Fitness. What did you do with the members of Max Fitness? Did you just absorb them?
So we acquired the members. We did an asset purchase, to be clear. So we didn't acquire their business, but we did acquire the members. The members are still coming to the gym. We are in the process of converting the gym over to a Planet Fitness. So you see sort of a banner up right
Sure.
now and some painting and things like that. We will be doing a complete remodel of the facility in the spring. so that we can completely convert it over to a Planet Fitness, really a state-of-the-art facility that we currently do.
And those Max Fitness applicant or members
Members.
that got caught in the transition, their memberships were just,
Yeah, their memberships transfer over.
Transfer over.
However, just from a business perspective, we really, try to deal with them on a case-by-case basis
sure,
to
understand.
make sure that they're, treated fairly.
Yep, good. Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much
All
for
right.
having me. Thank you for taking the time.
I'm not sure if we voted on.
I
it.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you're all set.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, next is P5. This is request for a tattoo license transfer of location. Is there an applicant here from Troubles Tattoo? Please come forward and state your name.
I'm Michelle Carter and I'm with Donald Cheatham.
Hello?
Good to see
Good
you.
evening.
So you're moving from where to where?
512 Main Street to 464 Main Street, right down the street.
Okay, any questions from the council?
When will when will the move take place? When will you be ready to reopen in the new location?
Right now, we're still getting the building ready and then we'll have to do, like, the Board of Health will do an inspection. I'm hoping for like second week of February. We just want to make sure that all of the i's are dotted, t's are crossed, all that stuff.
Right, right.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve contingent on all your inspections.
Yeah, sounds good.
State and local.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Good luck.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay, next we have P6. This is a request for a one-day entertainment license by Jenny Flanagan. Please come
Coming back.
forward.
I know I'm kind of early on this, but we're kind of stressing about it. It's our 40th wedding anniversary. We're going to have a big party in our backyard between noon and 5 PM, live music in the driveway, tent in the driveway, maybe 150 people will come. So just
Have-
wanted to give
Have
everyone
you
fair
worked
warning.
anything out with the police or fire just to make sure we don't get parking issues or?
Yeah,
okay.
we're going to approach the St. Mary's and ask
Okay.
if we can park there.
Great. Any questions from the council?
Motion to approve again contingent on your communication with the fire and chief and approvals.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck, Julie.
Okay, we're in correspondence. Is there anything anybody wants to pull?
Yeah, let's, well, not pull, but let's send
Send a
out
letter. Yep.
Yeah, letter of thanks.
Letter of thanks to Brett
Brett.
Boveen. Yep, okay.
For the planning board. Yep.
We're moving on to new business. Discussion and action regarding Blount Stormwater Pipe Agreement. Who's gonna handle this? Anthony?
In consultation with the town planner and the DPW director, I have we have some significant concerns with the agreement that has been proffered to the town. And to the point where we don't think it's in order for the council to take the matter up to discuss. We need to do some more work on it. I'd ask that the matter be continued for another month.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, under the town manager, we have number one, the ratification and appointment of finance director David Burlingame. David, will you stand up so for the other people that haven't met you yet?
Good evening.
Any questions from the council?
Welcome.
Can we have a motion to ratify?
Good luck.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number two, discussion and action regarding rail replacement in the sewer department. We spoke about this at the department head meeting. And what it is these rails, some of them have failed. And I believe the Norm, I'll let Norm speak for himself, but if two more fail, then we would be kind of backed up, and that's not a good thing. So basically what this is, the parts are about 12 weeks out. So this this money here that if we allocate it will be for the measurement and the ordering of the parts. So we're at least, we're 12 weeks closer to having what we need to repair this than being 12 weeks behind and we have a problem. So that's pretty much what this is. Norm, you want to add anything to that?
That's pretty much it. The rails are deteriorating, they're causing damage. And the cost is just gonna go up if we don't get them fixed soon.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
So we in danger of that 12-week slot? Could we have a problem before 12 weeks is up?
We're keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, best you can do, I guess.
I want to bring something to the public's attention. When we spent the $20 million to refurbish the sewer plant, I think we were at about what, 28 million or 30 million? Of what
28
we-
million was the price that came in and
of what we needed to spend, and we prioritized and put off certain things, hoping for a longer amount of time. So for those of you who may be wondering, gee, I thought we just fixed the sewer plant.
We
Well,
took,
these were the things we
we
didn't
took out,
fix.
yeah, we took it out of the bid.
So just to let it be known, that's why we're not fixing something that was already fixed. We're fixing something that was taken out of the repairs.
exactly.
So our plan is to go out and for the purchase and
Well, this is just to order the pots, which, and it's, because they're all custom, so we've actually to get the engineers in there to measure it and all and stuff. It's,
so once again, this is going to be money out of the ARA money,
it's gonna,
ARPA money to, if we have it.
correct, when we get this would be coming from opera funds, once we get a grasp of where the opera funds are and where we are. But this was an item that I didn't think we could actually hold off on, because like I said, if it goes, we got a problem. And
Yeah.
it'd be,
Fines would be a lot. worse.
yeah, the fines from the DEM and all of that would be
Very tough
astronomical.
to stop spending, is I guess my feeling. A motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Keep them going, Norm. Keep them going.
Okay, the next is discussion and action to deallocate all previous American ARPA funds. In other words, anything we've promised out, we are unpromising at this time until we get a grasp of where we are at with all of our finances. Because we cannot make any informed decisions until we have that information. Any questions from the
Yes.
council?
I have no questions. I have a motion to deallocate all previous American Rescue Plan Act funds until we have our numbers in line.
May I discuss them?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I've kind of touched on this as we did at the beginning with the presentation by Mr. Abruzzi. Hoping that there will be a complete reconciliation of balancing what's been spent and what's left. So we are very well aware of those numbers, because doing the math of the information that was given to us tonight, it just, with this, it's, you know, I've got one number, you've got another number. We need to know exactly what that is.
Right, and this is basically, if we have promised it in the past, but we are not legally obligated to give it, we are not going to give it at this time. That's
Right,
pretty
so
much what it
we
is.
have $466,635 in previously promised funds that we are not going
Correct.
to give out. And then we've got $1,295,021 in what we've spent. But we originally got $3,141,809. So there's all kinds of math going on here.
Correct.
as far as-
We have one-
Yeah, so that's why we're not gonna pay any more out until we have those numbers 100% where we need to see them.
But we could potentially have 1.8, actually.
We could,
Okay, so as soon as we know what that is, it would be.
If I may add, the perfect example was sewer plant.
Mhm.
In November, we allocated over 600,000 for the rails project. So we put a stop to that. However, we are asking for some funds because of
Go to 45.
the issue that is going on down there. So we're not going to use the whole 6,000. We're going to use just a small amount of it. But that's in.
And we'll need the funds to actually do the work.
Correct.
Correct. I mean, it's,
Hopefully, a little further down the road and not the whole big lump sum.
thank you.
All right, so I don't know if a second happened, but I would make a second on that.
we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Abruzzi wasn't in the room. Michael, I made a motion to deallocate all of the ARPA funds until we know where we're at, so.
Sure.
Why I'm
Just again,
bringing it up.
just to reiterate what I had said previously about the ARPA money. When I went back and looked at, all of the minutes, from, October of 2021, when the ARPA was first, presented, you're right, it was like 3.1 million. There's approximately, from what I could see from the minutes of the meetings, there was $848,000 allocated from that list, plus $450,000 used to supplant the budgets for the last 2 years. So, right, about 1.2 million has been allocated in, toward from that 3.1 million. So that's why you have about $2 million in the bank right now. However, I can't remember if it was August or September, there was a $633,000 transfer from the ARPA money to the general fund, which would represent payments that had been made out of the general fund that needed to be reimbursed from ARPA. I think would be good to know what that $633,000 represented, because in that $633,000 is probably things like money that you paid to different organizations, like probably Veterans Field Track. I'm assuming that was part of it. Some money. Hope in Maine, yes, thank you. Hope in Maine, the storefront improvement program, the fire and rescue, the design for the fire and rescue.
Consultant for the ARPA funds.
Yeah, right, yeah, so some of that was probably taken out. So that's why I think you need to reconcile that number and find out what's been actually spent out of that. Then you'll be able to say, okay, what other obligations do we have that we're already committed to that we'd have to either pay out or rescind.
Correct.
So until you know those numbers, you won't be able to make those decisions. So.
Thank you.
So in the meantime, it's prudent to deallocate the funds you have until those questions are answered.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to deallocate,
Norman has a question.
You just allocated $45,000 out of the ARPA fund to go to take care of the rail system. Now you're deallocating the money. So where does that fall?
you're good. Yeah,
You came prior to.
That's a separate motion, yeah.
Okay.
And you were prior to
Yeah.
our action.
And,
Essentially, that money got exempted. Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second to deallocate all the ARPA funds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the town planner, Herb. This is for urban forestry. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome to my part of the meeting. Basically, there's some monies that are available through an urban forestry type of a program. They're in collaboration with RIDEM. What I've done is to collaborate with the DPW director as well as our town tree warden what we're trying to do is put together an urban forestry plan essentially. And the group that is working with RIDEM is offering for free technical assistance to municipalities in the state of Rhode Island. And in addition, there would be no match because we do have a HES and a disadvantaged census tract. So basically what I'd like to be able to do is capitalize on the technical assistance that they can offer, which are such things as canopy mapping and analysis, high impact planting areas for stormwater, severe heat, that sort of stuff. Basically, the town tree warden has put together an overall, at least a draft of a plan that we want to put together. In the future, we may apply for some additional funding from RIDEM to be able to carry out some of this. But they'll, for instance, also look at our current tree ordinance and help us update it from that standpoint. So this is a request to apply for this funding. And all it is applying essentially for technical assistance. There is no cost to the town other than my time, Brian's time, and some of the town tree warden's time in the process.
Okay, any questions from the council?
No, and please remember if you weren't here, so we are hoping to plant trees in Burrs Hill Park. That field's no longer used, and to tie in the new buildings and the path, and we're hoping that maybe you can come up with something Well, I'm saying include that because it is in the minutes. You can look that up and make sure that when you work on the urban forestry plan, that is included.
Thank you.
So I want to commend the tree warden, Mr. Batista, for putting together this plan. I read through it. It's very comprehensive and there's a lot there, but it's a good target to go after. I mean, I really appreciate the work that's been done on this so far. I read through it. It's like 3 pages of the plan. So
Yep.
thank you.
It is the beginnings of a plan, yes.
Questions, Kerry, Steve?
No.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 2, consideration letter of support for broadband technology.
This is just an easy one as well. This doesn't even require a signature from the chair, even though the agenda mentions it. But the Greater Newport Chamber of Commerce, which includes all of Bristol County, is doing some real ground reconnaissance in terms of figuring out specifically where broadband is absent. This is not just looking at, say, your Verizon map and where it's purple and it's not, that they're not looking at that. They're actually taking those areas and going into the ground area to figure out where missing broadband is. So this is specifically a contract between Mission Broadband and the the Chamber of Commerce for Newport. But they do need to just have some level of understanding from you as the town council, as generally we have no problem in doing this. So it's more a motion of support than anything else. That, again, there is no signature, even though it's on the agenda. That was my fault.
Financial cost to the town.
No cost whatsoever. This is specifically a contract between the chamber and Mission Broadband.
Questions from the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 3, letter of support for URI Ocean Engineering Management.
Again, this is a letter of support that I'd encourage the council to sign off on for URI and their ocean engineering department. What they're trying to do is to conduct additional create additional robustness to, say, their storm tools that they've created in the past. They're trying to bring in some new standards that building standards that relate to building in floodplain areas that are specifically affected by the 100 and the 500-year flood, which obviously does impact Warren in many instances. So again, this is a letter of support looking to just have them deal with that effort through the Rhode Island Emergency Management Association and a grant they're applying for.
Okay, again,
Motion to approve. Can you get, can you send me or the council the plan for the phase 3? It's been a while since I saw it.
Phase 3 of, sorry.
Daniel's Park.
yeah, we're not there yet, Joe.
Okay.
Oh, I thought that
You
was.
just made a motion for number 3.
Correct. Oh, yeah, that's, sorry, the next one.
Okay, we have a motion for the agreement with URI for the REMA plan. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now number 4,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Now we have the phase 3 at Daniels Park.
Threw me a curveball
Sorry.
there. Basically, what I'm looking to do under this one, because there's a proposal that's been given to us by Fuss and O'Neill to start getting into the Jamil's Park Phase 3, which I will send you an update in terms of where that is. I'll send the entire council that, but we did receive a $400,000 grant from SNEP, the Southern New England program, that is part and parcel of implementing that particular project. The interesting thing in all of this is that the whole project as a total is $2 million. 1.6 of that is the quote unquote match, the municipal match for the $400,000 grant. But the $1.6 million has been applied for through other funding. 1.25 million from REIB, Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, and also $350,000 for brownfields from RIDEM. These grant programs mutually leverage each other. So if we do get those grants, the actual match to the town will be net zero. what I would like to be able to ask you to do, because we have not heard yet from RIDEM or Reed, that we were supposed to hear by now, but we haven't. So I would like and ask you to just table this to the February meeting until where I might be able to have a better understanding of what we have with the grant money, because I don't want to be on the hook for $1.6 million.
Isn't it a continuation, not a table?
It'd be, yeah.
All right, so we need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
Motion to continue. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, next we have an EDA application for the wastewater treatment facility.
I'm just showing it to you. This is about half the size of it so far. So there is, basically back, I think it was the 2021 timeframe, we had a flood that took out the treatment facility. We've been having some discussion with regard to that since then. Back in the January timeframe, there was some analysis conducted, and basically at the time, it was about $2.1 million electrical upgrade was forecast to be able to build back in the redundancy to our treatment facility, as well as to make that area much more resilient. Essentially, in the June timeframe, we learned that the U.S. Economic Development Administration, or EDA, had some resiliency funding in their 2023 supplemental funds that we're eligible for with regard to those electrical upgrades. What I've been doing since I inherited this project, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when I became more or less point of contact besides Norm and John Himlin on the wastewater treatment plant, was to put this together. So for the last month or so, I've been trying to pull together the online application for this for an amount of about $2.5 million for the electrical upgrades. As part of that application process, I'm trying to build into that the knowledge base that the treatment facility caters or serves not only the bulk of the community besides the Tuiset Point area, but inclusive of U.S. Census Tract 305, and because we also have a HES to try to make sure that there isn't any match with regard to this. What I would like to be able to do, and I understand the staring eyes, is I'd like the authorization to proceed with allowing the town manager authorization to apply. But I'm going to stand here and commit to the same question that Joe's going to ask me that he did last month, and that is, by applying, does that commit the town to any spending? And the answer is no. All I want to do is apply for the funding, see if we get it, see if there's a match that's required with it. Typically there is, but again, I'm trying to do it such, and because it's supplemental funds, there may be some different rules that apply to that. But these electrical upgrades, to the similar discussion that we had earlier with regard to the rail replacement at the wastewater facility, we really don't have the level of redundancy that we're supposed to have today. So 2 to 3 inches of rain that comes in, a tidal thing, whatever, the same thing could happen. Last time we had the redundancy, which we're operating under right now, we may not next time unless we do this. Okay. So we're talking overall, again, probably 2.5, I'll say up to $2.6 million, but and that's based on building in a contingency, but also a markup from the way we did the estimate back in the January timeframe.
Okay, so just to be clear, so there's no commitment of funds at this time. However, if we do get the grant and there is a match, we have the option then to decide to go or not go.
And I would be bringing stuff back to you. All I would like you to do is to authorize the town manager to be the one that submits it, because I need to get his signature on a billion things, and it's all done online. So it saves you, John, from a whole bunch of stuff.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Unless we know the numbers, we don't know what we're
Right.
dealing with, and let's hope it doesn't blow out.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Next, we have the fire chief. Good evening, chief.
Good evening. So just looking to, as you know, we just got a new rescue vehicle, and the original purchase that vehicle, we were gonna trade in our oldest truck to get underneath the allocated amount. Due to recent financial situation, I think it's important to keep this rescue, to evaluate down the road, maybe recab and chassis this truck to try to save some money. We'll do a cost analysis and see what the savings might be. If it's not a savings that we'll make, it's worth doing, we can still sell the truck for the same amount. I'm looking to purchase it, and I'm looking to use the funds from the sale of the recent 3 vehicles. As you can see, that total amount was $9,550. The amount of the buyback is $8,500.
All right, motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
That's it. Do we
Thank you,
have-
chief.
Could we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.